Okay, so to pick back up on trying to implement this function, we will want to grab it line by line. And so I'm going to have this initialized, string, right, char star variable, and we can then use fgetS, right? So we're going to try to do this using fgetS, put the line there, the maximum number of characters to pull in. I arbitrarily just decided to make my line read 100 characters. I think, I may need to change that decision under certain circumstances, like, right, if the files have more than 100 characters per line. This looks like what if we said that there are 4 pixels in this row, and each pixel is 3 numbers, so that's 12 numbers. And in between them is a space or a line break. So then what, that's 24. And then, well, I don't know. Should I do the counting that? Okay, let's just count the numbers. So there's 12 numbers. And then just to put an upper ceiling on the number of characters coming from the numbers, then the max that each one is 255. So that's 3 characters. So 12 times 3, 36. So 36 characters in a line just coming from the numbers. Then there's another possibly 12, right? I think some of these are spaces, maybe, or maybe they're all tabs or something like that. Let's assume that there's just a single white space character in between any numbers, and let's, whatever. Anyway, just for rough counting, let's say that there are 12 white space characters. So if there were 36, I think we said, then 48. Right, so this line seems to hold maybe 48 characters. To be on the safe side, we could just say 100. And this is funny because, like, they're separated. This is ASCII, but they're separated by line breaks. Why is it that in the instructions they said that you can use fscanf, so that's file get formatted string, fp, so that's probably like you're grabbing a pixel or something like that, and it's putting these values into RGB to read unsigned char color values. Sounds like they're saying that this will work when you get to the part of the data, even if there are line breaks in between. So I guess, that I suppose is just a matter of like how line breaks are read when you're reading in from a file, that like line breaks are treated as any other kind of white space, maybe, I guess. I'm gonna assume that's how it works. If I run into problems, then I may, research it more. But okay, so anyway, but it sounds like any time that we do this, probably I'm never going to need more than 100 characters at a time. So that's a reasonably small but safe allocation of memory. And then this is going to come in from the FPTR. Okay. So that seems like I have probably grabbed the file type. And I'm not sure if I need to, do I need this information, right? Like, because the very first line of information is presumably always the type, is it P3 or P6? But the instruction said that we only need to handle P3, so do I even care about the type? I'm going to assume not, and maybe I'll have to change my decisions later, but it should be relatively easy to change, like to store this as the type and then change the behavior of the function depending on the type. We'll worry about that later, but if at all. Since that grabs the first line and I probably don't need the first line, then let's just grab the second line and hope that it's never more than 100 characters. I could defensively program against that better if I wanted to, but let's not worry about it. FPTR, okay. So this line is either something I care about, like the dimensions of the pixel map, or it's something that I don't care about, like a comment, right? And so that's going to be determined based on whether or not the first character is a hash. So all I need to know in order to know whether I want to skip a line is whether it begins with a hash. So while, and I don't know how many lines are going to begin with a hash. And I think, didn't the instructions say that it is at least in principle possible for there to be more white space and multiple comments? I don't, none of the examples show that. So maybe I don't need to worry about it, but I'm still going to design it this way to say while line bracket 0 is a hash symbol or is space. So is space is a function that comes from the C type library, which I've been using as, when I earlier implemented everything. I think I'm going to need to use it no matter what. So especially this is space function is just super useful. So rather than implement it myself, why not just import it from the library? It's ctype.h is a very common library. So I want to check whether is space line bracket 0, right? So if any line begins with a hash or with space, what I'm mostly imagining there is a line of all space, which should just get skipped. Then continue doing fgetS line 100. Oops, fptr. So that's basically just skipping over lines that I don't care about. And by the time it's done skipping over lines that I don't care about, I should reach a line containing the dimensions of the pixel map. So right now, it should no longer be white space, and we should have a string holding the dimensions of the pixel map. And so then the question is, if I have either 4 space 4 in my string, like I would if I were reading this, or if I have, that's the same, but how about here, 80 or 8 5 space 106, then how do I grab those numbers out of the string that I already have in this variable? I suppose in this setting, maybe the right thing to use is the stirtalk function. So I forget how to use it. Can I just figure it out by typing that? Does it give me enough info? Guess not. Divide this into tokens separated by character delim. Okay, so I give it the string and another string, which is the delimiter. Okay, so let's give it my line. And what does it, I guess it returns a string. So let's say line, or no, it returns a pointer, like a char star, but that's a pointer to string elements. Oh, so that just gets you the first token. And okay, and right, I remember talking about this earlier. So if I wanted to get the next, then where S is the delimiter, then I simply call it with null in the string pointer part. Okay, so if this is a num, then I would like to say that star W, because this should be the width, is equal to A2I. So I'm going to convert the string to an integer. Num should hold that string. And then num should equal stirtalk line delimiter space. Or sorry, null, because right. And then that should be assigned to height. So let's see if that makes sense. And to do that, let's print what we just gathered for the width and the height. And it doesn't like something. Error. Passing argument 2 of stirtalk makes pointer. Oh, wait, what? 4, 4. Exactly what it should be on this particular file. Fantastic. Okay, so I've now read the file out to the width and height. I think maybe I'll end this video once I have fully read the header. And then the next video will be reading in the data, perhaps. So, okay, let's get rid of this print. Let's continue to say while line, or let's say fgets s line 100 f pointer while line bracket 0 is hash. I'm probably guarding against things that would never come up, but why not? While line bracket 0 equals hash, or is space line bracket 0 f get s line 100 f pointer. So now I should no longer be looking at the dimensions. I should be looking at the maximum RGB value, which I don't think I'm actually going to use for anything. So guess I'm just going to call fgetS line 100 f pointer to skip over it. Now, hopefully at this point, I am reading the data, right? So this line should have an entire line of data, I think, unless there's white space or a comment in between these two lines. So I'm going to skip over that as well. I guess I'll just do it exactly the same way that I do it here. But what I now want to do is just make sure that the current line really contains what I expect it to contain, which is the data. And so maybe I just want to print f this line just to make sure it's got the data in it. And if this works, then we'll end the video here. And it seems to work. It's the one that has, yep, that's exactly the right line. So, okay, cool.